Lies, I'm sure.
Why did mistletoe?
You don't care? Alright. Yeah, I was assuming if, like, Dark actually cared about the end of the game, he'd be playing it himself. What do you think is happening in the sequel of the game? I went over my thesis earlier, but I think Kratos is Tyr. Or, like, okay, so you know how Kratos is the son of Zeus in Greek mythology? I'm thinking he represents something different in the Norse mythology, so maybe Kratos is Tyr, because Tyr had the ability to warp between realms, right? And, like, go to different mythologies. So if you remember the plaque that was in the room, in Tyr's temple or whatever, it depicted Celtic mythology, Egyptian mythology, Norse mythology, and Greek mythology. So that leaves 3 other entries that Kratos could do. Like, we have the Norse mythology, right? We have the rest of the Norse arc to go through, and then we have Egyptian, and then we have Celtic as well. So what I'm guessing is the God of War series is going to go throughout all these different mythologies, and under different circumstances, what our goal is going to be is to eliminate the different gods of war of the different mythologies, and, like, bring peace to all the realms of the different mythologies. And Kratos is, like, trying to take on that burden as redemption. So he's traveling the world trying to bring peace and redeem himself for all the wrong that he's done, because he realizes that it does nothing. So this is like a personal redemption quest kind of a thing. But I think the sequel of the game, actually, we're probably gonna, like, have Freya as a main enemy, or at least, like, a driving force of the plot. And Thor is definitely gonna be a part of the next game. Slam attack that sends out a fiery wave, that sounds pretty sick. Oh yeah, give me that shit. That shit looks awesome. Damn. Yeah, I'm taking that. Does a lot of damage, too. Holy crap. You think Atreus will kill Kratos and start Ragnarok? Because Ragnarok is happening no matter what. Yeah, it's definitely happening no matter what. I don't think Atreus will kill Kratos. I don't think Kratos is going to die in the next game. He might die at the end of the Norse arc, but I highly doubt it. Like, maybe he'll die at the end of the arc, but I can't say for certain. If I had more of a bearing on Norse mythology, I might be able to predict certain things better. Because even the Greek-based games of God of War didn't adhere strictly to Greek mythology. It was kind of loosely based on it, and some stuff was changed to serve, like, the purposes of the plot and stuff like that. Yeah, Baldur's death is the starting factor of Ragnarok, yeah. So, like, either Ragnarok will be the next game, or it will be the 3rd installment. So I'm guessing we're gonna fight Freya, and we're gonna fight Thor at the end of the next God of War game. Like, whatever happens in between, I can't say for certain. And then Odin is obviously gonna be the final boss of the 3rd game, or whatever.
Right. Got it.
Or we fight Odin during Ragnarok, and then we do a whole bunch of cleanup in the next game. I don't know what they're going for, but...
Hadn't considered that.
I can already say something like this, though. I'm very positive that the next God of War is already in development, and it's probably been in development for a little while. Because it's running on the same engine, or they have an idea of where they want to go with it. Because they already have, like, specs for the PS5 and stuff like that, so they can already start creating for next gen. They've probably already begun work on it. So development is probably at least a little ways along. We'll probably get some news about it later on in the year, I think. And then a possible late 2021 release for the next God of War title.
Must be close.
Is what I'm assuming.
What are we waiting for? Think it's far?
I highly doubt it'll be a PS5 launch title. That's way too little time in between games. But I think it will be a late 2021 release. The next God of War game.
Before we continue.
You know what would be crazy if Kratos had to show Atreus his old family, his dead daughter and wife? How do you think that would turn out? That would be pretty awful, seeing as how Kratos has tried to hide his entire past from his son, basically. And his son literally knows nothing about his past, so... If they use the next game to bridge the gap between Kratos and Atreus so Atreus can understand his father better, that would be like a good route to go down, I think, but I don't know how they would pull it off. Because the whole point of Kratos coming to Norse mythology is to start a new story for his family, right? Like, he had a new wife, he has a new son, he has a new family. It would not make a lot of sense to travel backward from that. So I don't know how they would do that. Brock's just holding it like a fucking basketball, are you serious? Alright, whatever.
Come.
Brock is a bit less of a pussy than his brother, though, but his brother's kind of like comic relief. Yeah, but I'm eager to see what they do with the next God of War game. Because Ragnarok has definitely already begun, so... But this was just a personal journey of Kratos and Atreus to bring their mother's... Or, well, it's not Kratos' mom. Kratos' mom was Callisto, so... It was their journey to kind of get here and, like, spread her ashes from the highest peak in all the realms, and then you learn some shit, and then you see the mural or whatever, and it tells you, like... It doesn't tell you very much, it just gives people, like, a vague idea to go on, like, certain things to infer and stuff like that. Like, certain assumptions they can make. At least he's not dribbling? Yeah, poor Mímir. That would be horrible. Like, I don't know if he can still feel dizzy or feel anything, but...
I can see the highest peak ahead.
I don't know.
Right over there.
If he's a reanimated head, that means all the brain function has to be intact, right? So there has to be, like, some sort of pain reception for him to feel. At least I would think so.
We did.
I'm proud of you, boy. Yeah, but something that I was realizing from the God of War trailer, like from when the game was first releasing and the final product, there's a lot of things that they changed. Like, the interaction between the troll didn't seem as cinematic as it was. And they could have used less trolls in the game, so there were more, like, fights with weight to them, I guess, rather than a whole bunch of asset reuse.
I have nothing more to hide.
And then, they promised, like, a really big, cool-looking dragon kind of thing in the trailer, and then the dragon that we got to fight was a little bit, like, less climactic. Yeah, trailers are bullshit. Yeah, they typically are.
Can we go now? We're so close.
Give me a minute, man! This is a dark past that I finally get to free myself from. Come on, man, I've been waiting forever to redeem myself for this. Fucking asshole child. And then Atreus just, like, trips and drops the ashes off the fucking side of the mountain. Kratos is like, boy. You're grounded. What's in here again? And then he, like, unties the thing. He's like, I don't remember. And then all the ashes, like, blow across the wind and shit. Okay, I gotta read that. That's a giant wall of text. If somebody takes, like, the effort to type a giant wall of text, I'm kind of like...
Boy.
I kind of gotta read it at that point, right?
I just thought I'd
In all honesty, I'd love for the next game to kill off Kratos halfway through the game, and you play as Atreus with the Blades of Chaos and all for the rest, taking up the burden of his father for killing the god, but for a good reason, and showing how it ended up creating what our modern day looks like without gods controlling us. That would make sense. That's what my original thesis was, actually. It was something along those lines.
What is this place?
I was thinking Atreus would inherit the axe or inherit the blades or something like that. And honestly, now that Kratos is more of, like, a minimal character, like, more serving as a plot device rather than, like, being the main focus, I could see them killing him off. But I will only accept if they kill him off under good circumstances. Because if they just kill him off for some bullshit, I'm gonna be very pissed off. If they kill him off for, like, something as stupid as, like, a little bit of character development in Atreus, I'm gonna be mad. But if, like, there's actually, like, a good cinematic purpose for him to die, I'll totally take it with, like, a grain of salt and just deal with it. But if Kratos dies for, like, literally no fucking reason, I'm gonna be really upset. Imagine how awkward it would be if they forgot the ashes at home. Yeah, and the whole journey here, they have to, like, go back to their house after killing Baldur.
Something's happening.
That'd be insane. Atreus is like, yeah, I forgot the ashes. I left them on the counter. Kratos is like, boy. Mom sold the dog. Thank you very much for the follow, dude. I appreciate it very much. Welcome to my shitty channel, where I make shitty commentary on good games. Like God of War. Also, thank you for being my 400th. So, 400 follows. Thank you guys so much. You make me feel important.
But how? And our fight with Baldur.
Alright, so on the left there was Kratos and Atreus with the Midgard Serpent.
Wait. They knew everything that was going to happen.
Yeah, the giants are like giants, dude. They know some shit.
The stone mason. All these drawings.
Yeah, look, they even have me on the wall choking out Baldur. Baldur's getting wrecked. Easy.
This is your story.
Yeah, see?
But What does it all mean?
That makes even more sense, supporting that Atreus will be the main character at some point soon, and Kratos is just going to be like a minor part in it, and he's going to be like a plot device to drive it forward a little bit.
She was a giant.
Although I don't know how they would incorporate Atreus' bow, so Atreus would have to have like a main weapon that's really cool, and the bow would have to be like a secondary thing. But I don't know how they would gameplay that.
Why didn't you tell us?
And then maybe if we get Atreus, it'll actually go back to like the old school God of War puzzles.
She sent us here. No
Because a lot of the puzzles in this game are revolving around Kratos' axe, so I don't know how they would do that. That's kind of what I miss about this game. Like, that's the one thing that pisses me off about this game. In comparison to the old God of Wars, if we're to compare and contrast them, this one is more cinematic and like more like heartfelt, and it's like a journey with your son or whatever. So it makes more sense for it to be open world, right? Well, the old God of Wars are more direct. You have a purpose, and you have like a solo journey, like you have a goal, and you have to go through a whole bunch of bullshit to do it.
Besides,
And they have like traps, and they have the camera that
she
like...
hasn't been wrong yet.
The camera work in the old God of Wars, like, makes everything, so it seems really big
so
in
close to the
contrast
end
to
now.
you. So, like, the long shots made it really cinematic and really epic and really cool. And then all the traps and all the puzzles and shit.
Yes, we are.
Were, like, really neat. And, like, all the spikes and all the, like, the cool tense segments, that's what I miss about the old God of War. So I didn't feel like there was any love for that in this one. And I hope they do that in the next game. Like, I hope they bring that back.
Look,
Like, all the tense combat sequences where, like...
she was here.
Okay, so, like, for example, in the old God of War games, like, when you're on an elevator and they give you, like, 10 enemies to fight and you have to kill them, or you have to, like,
Watching over us.
manipulate something, like, to keep yourself from getting crushed by something, and you have to, like, manage the enemies at the same time. That kind of shit is what made God of War for me. That's what made it epic, so... I don't know, like, I feel like they disregarded all that in favor of, like, a kind of, like... I don't want to say the word mediocre, because this game is really good, but, like... It kind of feels like they modernized it with a whole bunch of mediocrity, and, like, they took all the flavor that was in the old games out a little bit. And that's the only thing I don't like about this game. Everything else other than that, I like a lot. And I don't know what they're gonna do for, like, mini boss fights in the next game, because, like, the trolls are getting a little bit old, so I hope they don't have any trolls in the next game unless they serve, like, a really important purpose. Like, honestly, I think the only trolls that should have been in this game was the one in the beginning, and then the one in Helheim that controls, like, the bridge or whatever, like, with the power source, that should have been, like, a really crazy troll fight that should have been, like, really flavorful. And it just felt like a reused asset that they gave, like, a little bit of a plot device to, and that felt kind of boring. So, like, I hope they don't reuse trolls in the next game, and they actually have, like, a lot more imagination to it. Also, I hope in the next game, or the third game, we get to kill that giant bird in Helheim, which I researched, actually, and it's called the Corpse Eater. I hope we get to fight that in the next game, because that'd be really cool. That looks like something Kratos would definitely murder-face the shit out of. What do you think Athena's purpose in this is? I have no idea. I think she was just there to serve as a reminder to Kratos' past, like as a demon, like a mental demon, like a reminder of his past that he had to face and overcome, I guess. So he could, like, prioritize the safety of his son and move on from that, or whatever. Yeah, but this is a beautiful game. It's really cinematic. Also, I like Kratos' character development. It's really cool. Like, everybody thinks the exact opposite of me. Everybody thinks Kratos is a much better character now, and in a way he is. But the anger that was driving him in the old games I could really relate to, because I knew the shit he had been through and how much he got fucked over and crap like that. So, like, the rage that he felt and, like, the revenge driving him or whatever.
Come.
Like, I could just feel that all the time, and, like, as you were ripping shit apart, it really made the atmosphere of the old games, in my opinion. But this is a new start for God of War, and I'm eager to see where they take it.
Which makes me part giant and part god.
And part mortal.
Right. I guess there's just one thing I don't understand.
Buckle up, Dark.
My name on the wall.
Buckle the fuck up, Dark.
The giants called me... Loki?
Oh, shit! Dark doesn't know, guys. He doesn't know. He had no idea.
What's the name your mother wanted for you?
What was your favorite part in this game?
She must have called you that to other people.
That's a hard one. Honestly, like, I'm probably gonna sound like a little bit of an idiot, but the Valkyrie fights, as much as I bitch at the Valkyrie fights are really cool. The thing about the Valkyrie fights, I wish they would have done, instead of putting like 7 Valkyrie fights in the game, or 7 or 8 Valkyrie fights that were like kind of moderately hard, or whatever, I wish they would have spaced them out and made you fight like maybe 2 or 3 Valkyries, but they were all really different, and they were like really cinematic boss fights. So like, for example, Neko hasn't played the old God of War, so I don't want to go into too much detail, but I want to use like one example of like a really cool boss fight. So I'm just gonna loosely say this: when you fight the Seahorse in God of War 3,
Why she want to end up here?
and people will know what I mean when I say Seahorse,
But did she know it was gonna be like this here?
that's a very awesome and cinematic and really cool, interesting fight.
Did you want us to tell the people?
But I wish the Valkyries had some sort of flavor like that, where it's like, it's really cinematic and like,
What should we do?
maybe they fly in the air or something and then you like ride them and then you like rip off their wings while you're like fighting them and you stab your blades into them and like throw them to the ground and then do some like really cool shit. Like, I don't know.
No.
They could have been a little bit more cinematic, and that's another thing I don't like about this game, is the behind-the-back camera feels way too Resident Evil 4 to me.
We train from birth.
And everything taking a huge inspiration from Dark Souls and having them employ rolling combat or whatever is just kind of tasteless, in my opinion. But I can kind of give a pass to it for God of War because they were looking for a way to reinvent the game from what it was. So, like, because they specifically built it with, like, recreation in mind, and they wanted to change the formula of the game, you know? I can kind of give them a pass on that, but I feel like everything takes way too much influence from Souls-like games, and it just kind of ruins the potential for a lot of cool shit. Wonder how Kratos would react to what? Sleipnir? And how Sleipnir came to be? See, like, I almost read that as Slipknot, because I don't know Norse mythology, so if, like, Slipknot was in this universe, Kratos would definitely, like, murder-face them, for sure. You feel like they're hiding something in the game for not letting us go back to the land of the giants after you leave? Yeah, probably. It's like a one-and-done type deal. Also, the way they do the credits, like how it's cinematic and then it just kind of like you go off and you can just run around while the credits are rolling, kind of leaves a lot of like, instead of impact, it's more like info for you to stew on, I guess, and hypothesize certain things. And I don't know if they intended for that, but that's kind of how it comes off. Yeah, Kratos would listen to Slipknot for like 5 seconds and get pissed off at the drum tone. It would sound like Metallica's freaking Saint Anger album. You just get like really frustrated. Sleipnir's Loki's son and is an 8-legged horse.
I understand if you want to go home.
Alright, calm down, Norse mythology. You've had a little bit too much mead, alright? If we're talking about 8-legged horses, my son is like 10 years old. You're telling me that he births a giant 8-legged horse? Fuck off.
I mean,
Are you kidding?
what Atreus is Spartan do?
And what would Loki do?
Oh yeah, I forgot that Kratos named his son Atreus after that Spartan warrior that you kill in God of War 2. I totally forgot about that. Because he died with honor. He was like the last Spartan of like Kratos' army, or his regime, or whatever. Loki gave birth to Sleipnir after distracting a horse while disguised as a mare.
Lads, am I glad to see you? I believe I've reached my limit.
Oh yeah, Frungle, I forgot you're Scandinavian, or you're
They took an
Danish,
uncomfortable
so
number
like
of
you know
measurements
more
and
about
then
this shit than I
proceeded
do.
to bicker about the weather.
What do you want to say?
How about the warm confines of anywhere bloody else?
Oh yeah, I think they were busy making Mímir a body too, so like maybe we get Mímir as like an actual NPC in the next game. That'd be pretty interesting. I guess it's alright. So we go back to Midgard, and then we wait for the game to load, and then we go back to our house, and then we're fine.
Before we return to Midgard, I should warn you. More time has passed than you likely realize. The snowfall that began when you slew Baldur. Promise remains. The stuff omens.
Omens for the coming of winter.
Not just any winter, but a great winter that spanned 3 summers. And when it's done, Ragnarok begins.
Ragnarok. From snow.
Aye, snow. Lots more snow. And then the end of the bloody world. In that approximate order.
Another prophecy.
No, brother.
Yeah, but when has God of War ever adhered to a prophecy? So, a whole lot of shit can happen in between a whole bunch of shenanigans with Kratos and Atreus.
Fimbulwinter. I can feel it in my scrot. This is the big one.
Stop saying that. Oh, you're making me very nervous. It was bound to snow sooner or later.
That ain't just snow, and you know it. It's the end times.
How dare you make me the voice of reason?
Guys,
Just discussing the weather. Bit of a cold snap lately.
What he means is, Fimbulwinter's upon us, boys. The winner to end all winners. I can feel it in my scrote.
Yeah, we heard.
So if you're heading home,
Like Atreus would even know what a scrotum is at his age.
die.
Or if
Not
you're
really.
not heading home, same advice.
Yeah, so I just wanted to let that dialogue play out so you could hear it. Yeah, but the final Valkyrie is in Muspelheim, and then you can fight the Valkyrie Queen herself. So there's 2 more Valkyries technically that we could potentially fight, but I'm not gonna do those 2. The Valkyrie Queen would be a worthwhile fight, but the one on top of Muspelheim at this point of the game would be like totally pointless to fight, pretty much. She is the one with the sick helmet though, the Muspelheim Valkyrie. She has like the best helmet out of all of them though. Seeing the different helmet designs is pretty interesting. They all look a little bit steampunkish, which is what I like about them. And giving the Valkyries like gilded armor and like gilded wings was really cool. Thought that was pretty neat, design-wise. Like, as a concept. Where's my boy? Is my boy invisible? Do I have an invisible son? The fuck? Whatever, he's off somewhere, he's fine. And now we're home.
We're finally home. Feels like a lifetime ago.
Certainly does, doesn't it? It's almost like it was an
It's a
entire
slight improvement
playthrough.
over having tree bark in your tadger.
Right.
Time to rest.
Yeah, now Mímir has a new home. He can just chill here with us. And we can talk bullshit and like drink and have a good time and stuff like that.
Okay.
And now we literally just toss our axe on the floor like we just got off of a long shift.
Sleep.
Way ahead of you.
Like, really? Kratos is just gonna live his, like, inherited axe from his dead wife on the floor? Okay. Alright. Here you go, Dark. This is for you, buddy. You're welcome. Fucking Thor, my dude. Thor literally just strolled up on my front yard like, "What's up, bitch? Heard you killed my 2 sons."